What's good, it's a boy Dude Reviews, and now that I've pretty much watched all 11 of the Naruto movies, I've watched them 3 times now, it's time to rank all 11 Naruto movies from the very worst to the very best. Now, before I do my ranking, I will say that this is just my opinions. None of this is fact. You don't have to agree with me. It's just what I feel, and I don't think any of these films are terrible per se. I think a lot of them, in fact, all of them, have something that's very unique about them and enjoyable. Like, they're all got very different stories. Most of them are wonderfully animated, but I think some are just better than others. So on with the countdown. At number 11, we have got Legend of the Stone of Gelel. The story of the film revolves around a mineral called the Stone of Gelel, which has mysterious, tremendous strong powers. Master Hideo, the villain, sends his ninjas to find the stone, which he intends to use to create a utopia, but a perfect world free from wars and sufferings. But in order to achieve his dream, he is willing to kill everyone who stands in his way. Initially a believer in Hideo's plan, Naruto and ninjas of Team 7, as well as some of the Sand Ninjas, later fight to save the universe from Hideo's evil design. Now, this film, I will say, it does have some nice background shots, particularly when we come to the end of the film, like the final act. I do like the final confrontation, like the way it looks. It does look really nice, and it's cool to see Gaara and Kankuro in this film as well. Like, we always love those characters. I mean, they're pretty cool and all that lot, and it's nice to see our boy Shikamaru on the Team 7 team. But apart from that, this film is such a boring mess. The plot is very inconsistent. The characters, like the villain, kind of a bore to watch. I mean, his master plan is interesting, but he's kind of a typical generic anime made original film villain. There's nothing really original about this film. It is kind of a dull mess. And I was just bored throughout. Like, I wanted it to end. I was begging it to end. And it's not bad, I just find it boring in my opinion, my do's and do-that's. Number 10. The first Naruto Shippuden movie, Naruto Shippuden the movie, and the story revolves around the attempt by the villain Yomi to take over the world by reviving the spirit of the demon Moria, to whom he lends his own body temporarily until a suitable body can be found. However, a priestess named Shinon, who has the ability to seal the demon, poses a threat to his design. The priestess also prophesizes that Naruto is going to die, and Naruto and his friends fight to save the priestess and the world and himself from Yomi's army of stones. Now, I really did like this film because we get to see a little bit of Naruto and Neji kind of like tension. Like, it kind of feels like it's set after the Gaara Kazekage rescue mission, because Team Guy is in this film quite a lot, to be honest with you. And I like a lot of the animation. Like, I really did like the final act. It was very interesting. The story was kind of interesting and gripping, but again, like the previous film that I reviewed, it just didn't have that shine to it. I just didn't think it had a spark to it. Like, some of the films on my top lists have something about them that I really did enjoy, but it was just kind of dull, to be honest with you. I also found like the pretest to be kind of a generic pretest character, and yeah, nothing really interesting, although it did have a lot of humor in, which I did like. Anyway, number 9. Bonds, the second Naruto Shippuden movie. And what's this film about? Well, the story of the movie revolves around the attack on the Hidden Leaf by the ninja of the Land of the Sky, in revenge for the destruction of their country by the Land of Fire during the Second Great Ninja War, and Naruto's journey to save the inhabitants of a distant village on the outskirts of the Land of Fire. Naruto is accompanied by his comrades Sakura and Hinata, a young child, and her sensei, who has some very interesting backstory. Now, this film I preferred over the other two because Sasuke's in it, and Sasuke's so cool, and he's just kind of there on a mission for Orochimaru. I really did like the villain. I liked the twist involving the villain. It was very unexpected, and it made you kind of hate this guy even more. And yeah, I think he was one of my favorite villains in the entire like Naruto film series. Also, the young kid was pretty interesting. Had a lot of spike and spunk to him. And I really did like seeing more of Hinata as well. Like, her getting onto the mission with her Naruto-kun was cute and cool and all that. And yeah, it was a nice film. It was pretty short, pretty sweet. But yeah, again, nothing of real interest. Again, the final act of this film was pretty interesting, and it had nice looking visual shots and animation. But on to number 8, and we have got Guardians of the Crescent of the Moon Kingdom. The story of the movie revolves around the struggle for power in the land of Moon, an extremely wealthy nation. Naruto and the ninjas of Team 7 are hired to protect Michiro, the prince of the land, and his son Hikaru. While they are away, a nobleman named Shababa disposes the king Michiru's father, Kakuru, in a coup d'etat. Naruto and his friends fight to restore the kingdom back to Michiru, who promises to be a good ruler. And yeah, I shouldn't be laughing at that name. Yeah, this film, when I first watched it, was my favorite Naruto movie. Like, I really did like this film out of all of them when I first watched it, like a few years back in 2015, 16. And yeah, I really did like this whole film. I love the whole like Naruto and the gang, like they are far away from like their Hidden Leaf village. I like the movies where they're not in the village or like in a village that we know, but like in a completely different city. It feels more grand and epic. This film had really stunning animation, and Rock Lee is in it. He's kicking butt, he's fighting left, right, and center, and it is pretty cool. Even Sakura is pretty useful in this film, and she's a lot less annoying in this film compared to how she is in the show, particularly how this film is set before the time skip. Like, this is probably Sakura at her best. Like, if you want to see Sakura not be that annoying or useless, watch this film, because Sakura, you're okay. You're okay, girl. I also do like the prince. I think his name's called Michiru. Like, at first he's this slob, he's this lazy guy, and he's kind of pathetic, but then as the film progresses, you start to really care for him and his son, and he gets some real character development. He starts to be the man he needs to be for his child, and yeah, like, he's pretty cool, and it's pretty much their story at the end of the day. But in terms of what I didn't like, it kind of slowed down halfway, and it kind of became a little bit of a bore. And yeah, but apart from that, it was pretty fun to watch. I did like a lot of like the stuff there, like the circus guys. They were fun and awesome, and at times it felt like a Disney film, and particularly the circus troupe. It reminded me a bit of the Hunchback of Notre Dame with the gypsies. But yeah, anyway, coming in at number 7, we have got The Lost Tower. This story of the movie revolves around the mission to find and capture Mukado, a missing nin who has traveled to the past to take over the 5 great shinobi countries using the power of the Rikukaku. By the time it is discovered where he has gone to and what he's up to, he has already done so much damage that Naruto and his comrade have to travel through time, and he teams up with a mysterious girl named Sarah to find and stop him before he can change history forever. Now, I love a good time travel story. I like time traveling movies overall. Sometimes they do it wrong, but sometimes they do it okay. And I do like how Naruto goes back in time when he meets Minato sensei. I like how Minato knows that Naruto is his son, pretty much like from the offset, but he's not saying anything or doing anything to alter history in any way, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, I also really did like Sarah the Priestess. She's pretty badass. She has a lot of cool moments. She's just a really cool character. You gotta watch it to really see what she's all about. The backgrounds and like the scope of this film felt so large. Like, you really did feel like you were in this world, the city, like the skyscrapers. Oh my gosh, dude, they were big and majestic. But I didn't like the third act. I thought it went on for way too long, until we had the team combo Rasengan of Minato and Naruto towards the end, which was pretty awesome. Like, yeah, it had a lot of fan service in, but it was pretty fun overall. And yeah, anyway, let's go on to number 6, and that is Inheritors of the Wheel of Fire. In the potential outbreak of the 4th Great Shinobi World War, a few ninja with Kekkei Genkai abilities have disappeared from the Land of Lightning, Earth, water, and wind. Suspicion then falls on the Hidden Leaf village once again, which is the only village not to be affected by the events. By Tsunade's orders, Kakashi is sacrificed to prevent an all-out war, and Naruto fights through friends and foes to prevent his death. Now, out of all the movies on this list, this probably has the better plot. Like, I think in terms of the story, this one has a more straightforward story and it makes more sense. Like, I feel like it's a lot more straightforward than a lot of the other movies down on my list. I really did like the character development of Shikamaru and Naruto. Like, Shikamaru, this is set literally sometime after Asuna Sensei's death, and he's on the edge. He just wants to protect the village. He has to do what he needs to do, but Naruto, he knows that, but he has to, he just has to protect his friends, and Shikamaru knows that even if it is sacrificing Kakashi and all that lot, he has to do what he has to do. I just love how the Konoha 11 group gets a lot of screen time in this film. We get to see all their pals and what they're up to, and and we get a Gaara versus Naruto fight showdown number 2. Like, dude, in movie format, like, what more can you ask for, my dudes? Like, that was just so cool, man. Like, this was a really epic film, and I feel like this is one to watch on the big screen as well. But in terms of what I didn't like, I kind of felt like it didn't feel like a movie. It felt more like a 6-parter filler arc to me, to be honest with you. But a well-written filler arc, for me to say so. Like, it was pretty well written. But at number 5, we've got The Last. 2 years after the 4th Shinobi World War, Naruto must stop Todori Otsutsuki, a descendant of Hamaru Otsutsuki, after Todori causes the moon to descend towards Earth. While all this is happening, Naruto and Hinata grow closer than they ever were before. Now, this film looks beautiful. Like, from the very first shot of the flashback of Naruto being picked on by these 3 bullies, this movie looks beautiful. Like, the lighting, the colors, the shading, everything about this film looks very appealing. It's probably the most appealing Naruto film. There's a lot of very beautiful looking shots, like the scenes when Naruto and Hinata are like going through this weird time vortex, and Naruto's looking at the past and realizing that Hinata loved him all this time was just beautiful. I also love Hinata getting a bit of character development and being more confident. And I mean, she was always getting that confidence, like in the war arc when she kind of slapped Naruto after Neji's death, but here we get to see more of it. And yeah, I like how we kind of resolved this little storyline in this movie. It feels very romantic and all that jazz, and seeing Naruto and a gang after 2 years is pretty cool. Like, my gosh, Naruto and Sasuke went through massive growth spurts after the 2-year time skip. I don't know what the sage gave them, but man, they are tall dudes. I mean, Naruto is towering over Shikamaru. I still can't get over that. Like, Naruto was like one of the shortest in the groups. Now he's like one of the tallest. Sakura looks like an ant compared to Naruto when they're standing together. It's so funny. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I like the opening scene when Naruto is kind of like being praised by the villagers. All the girls are, wanting to go on dates with him and all that. It's fun and cute. Yeah, I do like the story. It fits well into like the Boruto series. But again, I feel like a lot of like this backstory felt very rushed, and I wish they adapted this as a mini series, like maybe a 12-parter episode series instead of a movie, because there's a lot of like the Otsutsuki backstory that I really wanted to get into. Like, it sounded really interesting, a lot of lore and all that lot, but it was all kind of rushed in this little film. But it is what it is. Also, Sasuke was barely in it, and he was on the poster. What the heck? Number 4, Road to Ninja. The story of the movie is set in an alternative universe in which Naruto's parents are still alive, and all his friends have the exact opposite personalities. Naruto has to stop the villain Tobi, who was using a mysterious masked ninja to extract the Nine Tails before returning to the real universe where everything is as it was before. Now, I like this movie a little bit more than the last because it takes the movie, it takes the fact that it's a movie and really plays with it. Like, I love how we go into this alternative universe where all the characters have these very odd different personalities, which does kind of remind me of that one fairy tale arc when Asta and Wendy went to that Skyland and the entire guild was like completely different. That's kind of what this feels like, but it's kind of funny to see all the different characters. Like Hinata's more like Sakura, Ino's more like Hinata. I don't know why Lee is a perv. It's weird, but okay. And I like how it starts off with like Sakura just not really appreciating her parents, her being ignored by them, and her just wanting to live on her own. And then Naruto's obviously like feeling a bit like lonesome, even though he's like the hero village. He's still a bit like, oh man, I wish my mom and dad were here. And then he goes to this world and he spends time with Minato and Kushina. I love seeing those two like together. Kushina is just such a great character. I love her so much. She's funny, she's amazing, she's wild like that. And yeah, like it was pretty fun to see those two as well. And the villain of the film, even though it's Toby, there's another one, a masked dude. The reveal of him was surprising, but it made sense considering the fact that that character was meant to be in the film, but we never got to see him. And yeah, the final fight was pretty damn epic and amazing, and just whoa, explosions here, left, right, and center. And yeah, like I feel like Naruto and Sakura's relationship is, I like the character development in this film. Like Naruto is kind of shouting at Sakura a lot. He's being a bit more angry with her, which is very unusual compared to like the TV show. Him being really irritated with Sakura and the way that she's kind of treating her parents for granted. And yeah, I really did like how Naruto was kind of like taking a stance over Sakura, him kind of like showing more confidence, and yeah, it was pretty damn cool. Yeah. Anyway, number 3, we have got Ninja Clash in the Snow. Now, my top 3 movies are the movies that I think are the best Naruto films and the ones I recommend everyone to watch if they have to watch any Naruto films. But yeah, this one is the very first Naruto film. And the first time I watched it, I was watching it while I was watching the Naruto show, like originally. So watching this film after like watching the TV show was kind of a bit of a surprise because the budget went up while I was in this like little filler. It wasn't filler, but it was just before Naruto and Sasuke had that little confrontation. It was, I think, the Kakashi mask filler episode, and just seeing this movie after that, it was like, whoa, the animation is so much different. There's so much fluidity and motion. Like, oh my gosh, dude. But what is this film all about? It revolves around the villain Dotto Katsana's plot to take the treasure hidden by his brother Sotsui, whom he has murdered, from his niece Koyuki Kazana, a princess from the island called the Land of Snow. And yeah, she's an actress as well, and Naruto and ninjas of Team 7 fight to save her, the princess, and restore her to her father's throne. And now the thing I like about this movie is the character, the princess character, Koyuki. She's an actress, and it's really interesting seeing how when she performs in the films and on stage, she's got this energy and like light and hope, but when you really see her, she's very miserable, very dark, and you know, obviously when you see her backstory you kind of understand why. And she's a very fascinating person, and I like Naruto's like bond with her. It's really interesting. Seeing Sasuke is pretty cool in this film. It's awesome. Seeing like Team 7 is like all of them together in this movie is pretty cool. Again, the animation is great. There's a lot of interesting character motion and movements. Some of the shots do look a bit weird. Sometimes the faces look a bit realistic. That one shot with Naruto looked a bit odd, but overall it was a really nice film. I liked the plot, like the story, like the pacing. It flowed really nicely. The villain was interesting. Everything about this film was just stellar. But number 2, I do prefer it a little bit more than this film, and it is Blood Prison. Now, I don't know if people like this film or not, but I love this film. But what is it about? The film revolves around Naruto's attempt to escape from the criminal confinement facility where he has been imprisoned on false charges for the attempted assassination of the Raikage of the Hidden Cloud Village and the murder of Jonins from 2 other villages. In the prison, he meets a ninja called Raisetsu from the Hidden Grass Village, who reveals to him that she was framed by some members of her village, and Naruto must escape from the prison and prove his innocence. Now, this film I wanted to probably put at number 1, but the number 1 film I think I like a little bit more, just a little bit more, plus the fact that I watched it in the cinema. But this film is pretty close up there because this is the most movie out of all the Naruto movies. This one feels more grand, more epic, more serious. It has a lot of tension, and yeah, like the pacing is really quick. It really flows really well. The prison is so interesting. The design of it looks amazing. It's grand, it's big, it's epic. And I like the characters, I like the side characters. The villain is really interesting. There's a big twist in it as well. I won't reveal it, I'll let you guys watch it. But yeah, the film kind of gets dark. Like, that's why I like this film more, because out of all the films, this film doesn't shy away from being dark, and I think it might be the first R-rated Naruto film out of like all of them, to be honest with you. Yeah, like this film is pretty great, and we get to see more of like the Kana 11 gang and Killer Bees in it and all that lot, and Naruto in his stage mode is so fun and all that. And yeah, the fights are great and grand, and oh, beautiful film. But coming in at number one is the Boruto Naruto movie. Like, this film is the best one out of all of them, in my opinion. And several years after the end of the Shinobi World War, Naruto's son Boruto is about to enter the Chunin exam alongside Sarada Uchiha and the mysterious Mitsuki. He is taken in by Sasuke as his pupil. However, disaster strikes on the scroll. Sasuke reveals that relatives of Kaguya Otsutsuki are to attack Earth. Now it's up to the former Team 7 and Boruto to help the Kages to stop them. Can they win? You better watch it. And yeah, this film was pretty awesome because I watched it in the cinema, and it's so beautiful to look at. It's great. It's cool seeing the world in the future. Even though this is Boruto's story, it's mainly focusing on Boruto, it also focuses on Naruto, because even though Naruto has achieved his dream, he's finally become the Hokage, the village acknowledge him, and he's got a family, he kind of puts work first over his new family, and that creates some sort of tension and divide between him and Boruto. Boruto is also a fascinating character, because if you don't watch the anime and manga, like before the manga, before the anime, we had this movie, and Boruto is interesting because yeah, everyone hates him, he's a brat, but you gotta see from his perspective. He grows up, he's got everything he's ever had, he's got money, he's got family, he's got friends, you know, like, yeah, he has everything, but again, he's a kid who everyone kind of sees as Naruto's son. Like, he doesn't have that time to shine. He isn't seen as Boruto. He kind of reminds me more of Konohamaru when he was younger, and that causes him to kind of like, he wants to be his own dude in a way. And of course, he has daddy issues and all that lot. Like, all that stuff with Naruto, it does irritate me a little bit. But Naruto, again, like, I feel like he has a responsibility. When you have kids, dude, you need to give them attention, because you know they're gonna grow up to resent you, and that's not gonna be good and all that lot. But yeah, again, like, it's cool seeing Sasuke be like the Jiraiya of the movie. Sasuke in this film is probably my favorite Sasuke out of any Sasuke we've seen in the original series, in the Shippuden series. This is my favorite version of Sasuke. This is Sasuke at his best. Like, I really did like this, like, sensei. He's kind of a dude who doesn't really like give any crap, like, but he also has love and care for his family and the village and all that lot, which I really did like. I liked the villains, I really liked the story and like what was happening. It was very interesting and fascinating, and knowing where this story is going with the manga, it's going to be really epic and really interesting. But as the movie, it worked. I will admit that it did feel a little bit rushed at times. Like, the story was a little bit like, oh gosh. Plus, Momosuke defeating the 5 Kage didn't feel that realistic to me, because, I mean, come on, like, yeah. But I'm guessing like the plot required Boruto to be the one to defeat him, because it is called Boruto. But it is more of Naruto as well, him dealing with like, after him getting his dream, what is he planning on doing next now that he's got everything he's ever wanted. I like seeing how Naruto's struggling with dealing with Hokage life and family life. It's still more character development for Naruto, and it's still a Naruto story, and that's what I really did like about it, and it really showed. I love the new generation. Sarada Hinata is my favorite out of the new generation characters. She's so cool and epic and interesting. I kind of wish it was more about her, but oh well. But that is my ranking of all 11 Naruto movies. And tell me in the comments down below what your tier list is. What is your favorite Naruto film? What is the worst Naruto film? I want to know. Please tell me. Subscribe for more anime and manga reviews. Like this video, share it to all your friends and family. And yeah, thank you for watching this review. And as always, Boruto Reviews signing out.